Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Bytes podcast. I'm your host, Rory Monahan. Coming up on this week's episode, reports of a worrying breach of Oracle Health. Also, concern as Microsoft removes a script used for bypassing the requirement to use a Microsoft account when installing Windows 11. And updates on fixes for issues caused by the recent Windows updates. For this and more, keep listening to this episode of the podcast, which of course, as always, is brought to you by my sponsors. And that includes Numescent, the inventors of the first and only cloud-native container management platform for Windows desktops. And also brought to you by Master Packager, an application packaging software that helps you build packages that end users love, enterprises want, and the Windows OS needs. If you enjoy the show each week, you have these awesome sponsors to thank. And now for some news. Oracle Health, formerly known as Cerner, has warned of a data breach impacting multiple hospital systems, according to bleepingcomputer.com. In a notice they sent to impacted customers, Oracle Health apparently said it became aware of a breach of legacy Cerner data migration servers on February 20th of this year. They said, quote, "We are writing to inform you that on or around February 20th, 2025, we became aware of a cybersecurity event involving unauthorized access to some amount of your Cerner data that was on an old legacy server not yet migrated to Oracle Cloud." End quote. That's what the notification said, if you didn't figure that out already. Oracle says that the threat actor used compromised customer credentials to breach the servers sometime after January 22nd of this year, and then copy the data to a remote server. This stolen data may, now emphasis on the word may, have included patient data information from electronic health records. While the statement said may, multiple sources have told bleepingcomputer.com that it was confirmed that patient data was stolen during the attack. Oracle Health has also been telling hospitals that they will not notify patients directly and that it is their responsibility to determine if the stolen data violates HIPAA laws and whether they are required to send notifications. For anyone who's not based in the US, HIPAA essentially covers data protection of patient data. However, Oracle Health did say that they will help identify impacted individuals and provide templates to help with notifying. Details of the attack have not been shared, so it is not known if ransomware was deployed in the attack or if it was just purely data theft. But reportedly, an individual by the name of Andrew is attempting to extort millions in cryptocurrency from the hospitals. Multiple media outlets have also covered the fact that apparently some communications sent out from Oracle Health have been on plain paper. So that's without any Oracle Health branding or headers on the documents or in the footer of the documents about this, which has raised suspicions and the ire of some. Furthermore, it has been claimed by the Register that Oracle Cloud may have also been breached with a hacker with the handle Rose87168 having claimed to have accessed at least 2 login systems for Oracle's customers, at least the cloud customers, and allowing them to swipe what's said to be 6 million records. And that allegedly includes copies of subscribers' encrypted single sign-on passwords, encrypted LDAP passwords, security certificates, and more. So, pretty sensitive data there. Security expert Kevin Beaumont has suggested Oracle may be playing dumb, denying that Oracle Cloud has been breached, because it's possible that it was actually Oracle Cloud Classic that was breached. And he went on to say, quote, "Oracle are attempting to wordsmith statements around Oracle Cloud and use very specific words to avoid responsibility. This is not okay. Oracle need to clearly, openly, and publicly communicate what happened, how it impacts customers, and what they're doing about it. This is a matter of trust and responsibility. Step up, Oracle. Our customers should start stepping off." End quote. So yeah, pretty emphatic language from Kevin. I used to follow Kevin on Twitter, and he's just a fountain of knowledge. And this story breaking, led me to realize that he's also on Blue Sky. So I started following on Blue Sky, and if you don't already, you should too. But also other security experts, including Kevin and Jake Williams, as an example, both allege that Oracle appears to have used the Internet Wayback Machine's archive exclusion process to also scrub evidence of the intrusion. So, add all that up, them sending communications on paper that's not headed with their branding, them possibly kind of subverting acknowledgement of the breach and kind of playing it down, having involved Oracle Cloud, because it's possible it was Oracle Cloud Classic, but still that gives possibly some customers a false impression that they may not be impacted when they are. And then also allegedly excluding some evidence of the intrusion via the Internet Wayback Machine. This is not good, not good at all. I've been covering breaches like this on the podcast for the best part of a decade now, and this particular breach and what Oracle Health have been doing in response could be a playbook on how not to handle a data breach. They're doing things that are completely against the grain and is just likely to really upset their customers. And when it's health records that are potentially breached, it's about as sensitive as the data gets in a breach like this. So they really need to step up and do better here. BleepingComputer.com has also reported that Microsoft has removed the bypass nro.cmd script from Windows 11 preview builds, which had allowed customers to bypass the requirement to use a Microsoft account when installing the operating system. The release notes for the preview build state, quote, "We're removing the bypass nro.cmd script from the build to enhance security and user experience of Windows 11. This change ensures that all users exit setup with internet connectivity and a Microsoft account. When a user signs in with a Microsoft account, the device is connected to cloud services." End quote. This can ensure services such as BitLocker can work consistently out of the gate, and any settings and preferences that were configured on other Windows desktops will be able to sync. But this has upset some people online, as they feel quite accurately, quite frankly, that this will essentially force them to be online during Windows 11 setups going forward. Microsoft has been slowly ebbing away at the options to bypass the Microsoftized account setups by obscuring the domain join option from the early versions of Windows 11 even. And this seems like another step in eventually just removing all options other than a Microsoft account or Entra ID account in the future, it seems. But it's important to reiterate at this point that this is just in a preview build for now. So if you happen to be working somewhere with a bit of sway, perhaps you could get the ear of Microsoft if you don't agree with this, and let them know your feelings. Although, this is probably going to be more of an issue or something that's of concern for consumer edition users, I feel. But still, in the future, it's possible they're going to maybe cut the cord on Active Directory and traditional domains and try to steer people towards Azure Entra ID. It's kind of the way the wind is moving right now. In a quick follow-up to a story about remote desktop connection issues experienced after installing the March Windows updates that I'd covered on a previous episode of the podcast, BleepingComputer.com has now reported that the known issue will be fixed for Windows 11 24H2 and Windows Server 2025 for any users after they install KB 5053656, and this is a preview update. So this is a preview update. If you are encountering the issue and you want to fix it for yourself, you're going to have to go out and grab this preview update and install it. And if you are in the unfortunate position where it's affecting people widely, you may have to go grab that from the update catalog and get it deployed to the systems that are affected. In another update to a previous story covered on the podcast, the bug in the option to switch back to Classic Outlook from the new Outlook has also now been fixed by Microsoft, so clicking the Go to Classic Outlook button will no longer crash New Outlook for Windows. Several outlets have reported that Microsoft has shared an upcoming change to the infamous blue screen of death. It appears they are going for a minimalist style in future where the screen will only display text and the loading percentage. So no more little kind of, not emojis, but icons, I guess. But more significantly, it will no longer be a blue screen of death, at least according to what's been seen in previews. So previews currently are showing that the screen will be green. It's worth pointing out, though, that the text changes were previously previewed on a black screen in the past. So perhaps the final change won't even be green. Maybe it will be black. Although, learning kind of marketing stuff and that kind of stuff in school, color coding, I guess, like there's like psychology applied to it. Something like a blue is actually supposed to be somewhat soothing if it's the right shade, so maybe that's why they went for blue in the past. But because a blue screen of death is now so synonymous and it's tied to Windows, maybe they think changing the color would be kind of a rebrand and it will have less negative connotation, maybe. But then black is kind of, that could be a little ominous and concerning, kind of like red as well. Green tends to be a little more positive, although it is the color of envy too. So I don't know what's a good color and where will they land. I guess VMware does like pink, so maybe it can't be pink because there's already a pink, but that's maybe a little more soothing. But you know what? As an IT administrator, once you get familiar with the new color, it's still going to cause panic and frustration anyways, regardless of what color it is. Microsoft recently shared a public Windows 11 roadmap. So they had a blog post announcing the publication of the roadmap and then also the roadmap itself. And the roadmap currently contains 26 features that are set for the future release, and it contains features with descriptions, the current status, and in some cases rollout dates, but it doesn't appear there's rollout dates for everything that's in the list. So like some examples of something you probably already know that's on the roadmap would be the recall feature, that AI queryable, is that a word, queryable? But the timeline of basically all activity on your desktop that's going to be enabled through like Copilot and the Copilot Plus PCs. But there's other features in there as well, so it's worth a peruse to see some of what's coming for Windows 11 in the future. And I'll share a link to that with this episode, which is episode 380, and you can find that at 5bytespodcast.com if you're watching on YouTube. I tend to put the links in the description too. VMware Workstation users have been reporting that the software's automatic update functionality is broken after Broadcom redirected the download URL to its own generic support page, and it has triggered certificate errors. BleepyComputer.com reports that in order to update the software, customers will need to go to manually download the latest version from their support portal. Broadcom has not yet issued a public statement or a workaround for the issue, and BleepyComputer.com has confirmed it is still broken in VMware Workstation version 17.6.3, which is obviously the latest release of the product. So if you are using it, I mean, you're probably pretty tech savvy because it is a software that tech savvy people use. I don't think there's going to be non-tech people relying on VMware Workstation. Just know that you got to go and grab the latest updates and versions for yourself. And the good news is it's free to use now, so at least there's that, even if there's a little bit of an inconvenience at the moment keeping it up to date. I guess oddly, because this is reporting on something I got in an email rather than referring to an article. But on Monday, I received an email, and presumably others received it too, from Microsoft, stating that the D, DS, DV2, DSV2, and LS series Azure virtual machines are going to be retired on May 1st, 2028. So yeah, they're giving a pretty decent lead time on this. It's not going to impact anyone for over 2 years. But they advise that you'll need to migrate your applications and workloads to the latest VM generations. They warn that there may be changes to your Azure virtual machines billing because of this retirement, which, yeah, makes sense. If you're retiring to different types of VMs, then there's going to be a different rate for those VMs too. To ensure there's no disruption to your applications and workloads running on these types of virtual machines, you want to migrate before that May 1st deadline. A new version of the awesome Remote Display Analyzer has been released, version 2503. And this version has been updated to support the latest protocol changes from Microsoft, including RDP ShortPath for improved connection performance on Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365. For Citrix, they've brought enhanced compatibility with the latest Citrix VDA versions, now providing more detailed real-time statistics and improved session performance insights. They've added support for the latest Omnissa Horizon agent with the latest protocol updates, and there's been other general improvements and bug fixes too. So if you used the Remote Display Analyzer, you want to get on the latest version, and that's now available. Ars Technica has reported that VMware is suing the US branch of the company Siemens for using VMware products without a license. In the complaint, VMware says that it has had a hard master software license and service agreement with Siemens since November 28, 2012. In the filing, VMware reportedly claims that in September, Siemens sent VMware a purchase order for maintenance and support services. Siemens was reportedly looking to exercise a previously agreed upon option for a one-year renewal of support services. However, the list of VMware technology that Siemens was seeking support for included a large number of products for which VMware had no record of Siemens AG purchasing a license. The lawsuit reads, quote, "In the context of attempting to exercise the option to purchase a one-year renewal of support services for certain eligible licensed products for the year following the expiration of the ELA in September 2024, Siemens AG revealed that it had downloaded, copied, distributed, and deployed thousands of copies of VMware products for which it had never purchased a license." End quote. Siemens reportedly asserted that the list was accurate and demanded support from VMware. Despite the perceived discrepancy, VMware said it eventually agreed to provide Siemens with the requested support services, quote, "in order to avoid the possibility of interrupting Siemens' business operations," end quote, and under threat of litigation from Siemens. Siemens also reportedly resisted VMware's attempts to audit the firm and run a script on its systems to figure out how much VMware software Siemens was running. VMware apparently believes that the original list that Siemens reportedly provided was a truthful assessment of the VMware offerings Siemens employs. The complaint argues that Siemens would have a prioritized accuracy with the list to avoid infringement. The complaint argues that Siemens would have prioritized accuracy with the list to avoid infringement claims, and because the amount that VMware would charge Siemens for support would increase based on the number of products and licenses deployed for each product on the list. VMware is seeking a jury trial, damages, and any profits attributable to Siemens' infringing activities to VMware's copyrighted software products. So personally, I am looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. Having seen what rogue salespeople at ISVs are capable of, I could actually see this going either way, despite what the Ars Technica article says. I mean, it's possible that one rogue individual may have had the opportunity to cut some deals and maybe hide things on the VMware side. I'm not saying that's definitively what happened. This is just pure fun speculation on my part. And it's important to say that what is filed here and what's being pursued through the courts by VMware, these are all just allegations. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the wash because as the filing claims, they wanted to do an audit, but Siemens would not allow them to. So, they're flying a little bit blind. All they're really going off seemingly is that request for support on these products that VMware or Broadcom seemingly did not have any record of Siemens having purchased. So this is going to be a very interesting one. The article does make it seem like a slam dunk for Broadcom, but I would definitely hold off on judgments and let's see what comes out in the trial. If there is a trial, maybe it'll be settled before then, but I guess we'll wait and see. VentureBeat.com reported that Gartner has released a new report forecasting the global GenAI spending and suggesting that it will hit $644 billion this year. That figure represents a 76.4% year-over-year increase over GenAI spending last year. According to Gartner's analysis, hardware will be claiming a staggering 80% of all GenAI spending in 2025. The forecast shows devices will account for $398.3 billion, which is 99.5% growth on last year. Servers will reach $180.6 billion, 33.1% of the growth. Software spending follows at just $37.2 billion, 93.9% growth. And services will total $27.8 billion, which is 162.6% of growth. So actually, in terms of percentage of growth, services is the thing that's growing the largest. So yeah, pretty interesting forecasting. We'll see if this actually comes to pass. I wonder, I haven't actually read the report myself. I'm just basing this off VentureBeat.com's report, but I'm wondering if they factored in the efficiency claims of DeepSeek, or if their assumption is the path of travel from last year remains the path of travel for this year. The previously announced co-creator feature in Windows 11, which is an AI tool in Paint that creates an image based on a text description and what you're currently drawing, is now available on Copilot Plus PCs that are equipped with Intel and AMD chips, along with another live captions feature, which translates audio to English subtitles from dozens of different languages in real time. These features have been available previously on Qualcomm Snapdragon chips, so this extends these features to more PCs with these chips from these other vendors. Notably, there's still no word on the wide availability of the much maligned recall feature that I mentioned earlier when talking about the Windows 11 roadmap. OpenAI has raised $40 billion in a further round of funding that values the company at $300 billion post getting this money. SoftBank reportedly led the financing, and other participants included Microsoft, Coatue, Altimeter, and Thrive, all of which were also earlier backers of OpenAI, according to TechCrunch.com. TechCrunch also shared that $18 billion of the funding will go towards OpenAI's ambitious strategic infrastructure project, which aims to establish a network of AI data centers around the United States. So yeah, another massive round of funding, $300 billion valuation, which is pretty crazy and interesting considering it seems like OpenAI is hemorrhaging money. No doubt it's impressive technology, but they really need to figure out the business model and get this thing moving in the right direction. If you're on social media, no doubt you would have noticed that ChatGPT's image generation has become available widely for free users, and this is an enhanced image generation capability. So if you've used the earlier versions of the language model, or even 4.0, and asked it to generate images, even as recently as last week, the results were probably garbage. I've pointed out on previous episodes of the podcast where, like, text captions in particular just were terrible. They were usually misspelled, and even in cases where it managed to correct itself, it would have this like weird kind of pixelated letters and just looked really bad. But an enhanced image generation capability is now available in ChatGPT, and it is pretty awesome, and it's definitely more powerful. It's less restricted than in the past, so if you want a task to recreate images in certain styles, such as the one going viral, which is Studio Ghibli, it's incredibly accurate. It's not fast, it takes a long time, and no doubt it is drawing a crazy amount of electricity and compute power to do these image generations, and OpenAI has put a limit on the number of images you can generate in quick succession, even for paid subscribers too, which is probably a good thing. But interestingly, I saw Mashable had an article on some use cases and examples for this new, more powerful image generation, and there's one that's pretty nefarious. that is forging receipts for expenses, and it does a pretty compelling job at faking receipts. So this could get interesting for companies and keeping track of expenses, I guess. I'm sure there's other nefarious purposes this could be used for too. So how this could be kind of reined in and curtailed going forward remains to be seen. So yeah, I guess if you want to try it out, now is the time when there are less restrictions in place. So on last week's episode of the podcast, I covered the fact that Tencent lauded the use of DeepSeek for reducing some of their projected expenditure, and it appears now The Verge have reported that Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has remained optimistic and complimentary about the DeepSeek service. I find it so interesting that there was a lot of hype for about a week, followed by weeks of negative reporting and cold water being thrown on claims made by DeepSeek, plus outright bans on its use by some governments. But just like with ChatGPT, as it rose to prominence, it appears Microsoft and other tech companies are not shying away. Certainly, Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, and also Tencent speaking positively about the technical aspects and efficiency gains just further lends credence to the validity of some of the claims made by DeepSeek in the past in their reports. I'd covered on the podcast months ago, I believe it was, that there was kind of rumblings of Microsoft trying to hedge their bets and not put all of their chips into OpenAI. They wanted to diversify. So, yeah, Microsoft maybe kind of latching on to DeepSeek may make sense for what they've already been kind of putting out there and their need to diversify and not be completely dependent on OpenAI, which, as I said already in one of the previous stories, the OpenAI business model seems to have major blind spots. So you don't want to maybe hitch your wagon just to this one horse if that horse ends up becoming lame. Is that a useful analogy? Anyway, I just find it really interesting that there's so much negative reaction to DeepSeek because it's a Chinese company. I think that's why it's all happening. But at the same time, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, one of the most prominent figures in the tech space in a US company, has also been very complimentary. So there's a little bit of friction there, I guess, in terms of geopolitics and where the tech meets the politics, I guess. But now, this episode's scripts, tricks, and tips. So I had more than one script, trick, or tip to share this week, but I've done it again where I am looking at the recording time and it's close to 30 minutes, so I'm just going to stick with one for now. And that is, I saw an article sharing 20 basic PowerShell commands and their uses. Now, these are very basic. If you have any length of time and experience with PowerShell, it's probably going to be useless to you. But if you are working with more junior people who are maybe new to PowerShell, this could be a useful resource to share with them. I find that I maybe overlook some of the basics because I kind of moved past them several years ago. So maybe I'm not the most useful person for teaching someone PowerShell from the very beginning. So this could be a useful resource for me in those situations and possibly for you if you're in that situation too. But yeah, wrapping up this episode, I feel like having edited the last maybe 2 episodes or 3 episodes, I'm talking a bit slower and I'm also maybe using more kind of stutters and uhs. So apologies for that. I think it's also making the podcast episodes a bit longer. I'm still kind of catching up on sleep. I was traveling, so I was a bit jet lagged. And then the daylight savings came in, so I'm a little bit discombobulated, and hopefully that will improve in the next few weeks. But hey, thanks for your patience, and thanks for continuing to listen to the podcast.